ordinary meeting. Do I need to repeat?
Yes, sorry. Yeah.
Good afternoon, everyone. I welcome members of the public online to the Central Tablelands Weeds Authority meeting of the 20th of December 2024, our last meeting for the year. Apologies, I have an apology from Member Gulliver and Member O'Grady. Any other apologies? If not, I'd ask for a mover to accept those apologies, please.
Yeah.
Member Money, right, and Member Fry, thank you. All in favour? Accept the apologies, thank you. Item 2 is acknowledgement of country. Central Tablelands Weeds Authority acknowledges that the Wiradjuri people, the traditional custodians of the land where we work and live. CTWA celebrates the diversity of Aboriginal peoples and their ongoing cultures and connections to the lands and waters of the New South Wales Central Tablelands. Recording of meeting, members of the public are advised that proceedings of the meeting, other than any confidential matters, will be recorded and made publicly available on the CTWA website. And persons attending the meeting should note that their conduct is being recorded. Pause disclosure of interest. Do we have any disclosures of interest by councillors? Kinnery, not Kinnery? Yes.
Yeah, so mine would be with an item, I can't remember what number it is, sorry, around skill set. I'm the director of skill set. It's pecuniary, but not important or not,
So do you get paid?
yeah, so it's pecuniary, but it's not
Insignificant.
insignificant. Thank you.
Pecuniary and insignificant.
Yeah.
And that's related to a matter of business in the closed session.
Oh, that's a closed session, yes. But that's on the
Yes.
notice. Are there any disclosures of interest? If not, I'll move on to item
to accept those disclosures of interest.
I think we can do that, doesn't it? Just make them listed. Item 5 is the confirmation of the minutes of the ordinary meeting held on 22nd November 2024. The recommendation is the council adopt the minutes of the ordinary meeting of the Central Tablelands Weeds Authority held at 7 Lee Street, Kelso, at 2:08 p.m. on the 22nd November 2024. Can I have a mover? So, Member Ring. And a seconder, please.
Member Fry.
Oh, Member Fry. Thank you. Any discussion in relation to those minutes? If not, I put the motion. All in favour?
Aye.
Carried unanimously. Thank you. Priority matters, isn't it? Priority matters. And item 6, the recommendations is
We clusters assigned
the recommendations of the topic weed clusters is assigned a working group to consider whether there may be advantages from adopting a community approach to each of the properties in the cluster, i.e. weed treatments and time frames. And part 2, I'd imagine, is that the priority matters listed on the following pages be accepted. Is that right?
Yes. And
I think that'll be 2.
So yeah. Setting some dates.
Yes.
For those.
So could I have a mover for those 2 recommendations? Thank you, Member Fry. Seconder, please. Member Ring, thank you. Member Fry? Member Ring?
No.
All right, I've got a couple of issues. So I think what we need to do with those priorities is we have them listed on the next 2 pages. In relation to the serrated tussock resistance, which is number 1, we set up a working party at the November meeting. We now need to set some dates for those to meet, either in person or online. So are there any suggestions, General Manager?
I'm not making a suggestion. I was wanting to hear discussion from the members. That's Councillor Barney and O'Grady. Whether you date in early February that you might be able to make yourself available. These would be online meetings, so it's a matter of sitting in front of a computer. Would you like me to just set some dates and come back to you?
I think you said some dates.
Yeah, I've got a fair amount of flexibility. And if it's an online, I'll be able to work around that. So I'll look
We
at
apply that to the other working groups as well.
I think for all the working groups, you set some proposed timings.
Yep.
And if someone, or maybe suggest 2 or 3 dates, so then people can come back. So I know that there are things falling, choking up in February, so maybe suggest a few dates for those. That's for the 3, and I'm talking about also, we talked about threat and tax resistance, we're talking about the organisational structure working group, and we're talking about the GM recruitment working group. In fact, the GM recruitment one, I think we need to push ahead fairly quickly if we can.
Yes.
Are there any, so if you suggest some dates on those, General Manager. And also, we're now talking about this weed clusters working group. Do we have any members who'd be interested in sitting on that weed cluster working group?
Tony Gulliver has expressed an interest to me.
Yep, yes.
Yeah, look, I'd be happy to put some time in.
Member Mahoney. Anyone else? I'll try to if I can.
Yes.
Anyone's for me? Yeah. Okay, and if you could also suggest a timing for that. So at this stage, we might slightly change the first recommendation to that the weed clusters, a new working group, weed clusters, was created with members being the staff member Tony Gulliver and members McKibben and Mahoney. And you? No, member Tony Gulliver. Oh, member Tony Gulliver. Oh, okay, I thought it was Tony. All right. Member Tony. Sorry, members.
We've got 2 Tony G's.
Excuse me, Chair,
Yes.
the recruitment for the GM, starting that, can that start around the 3rd week of January?
Can it?
Yeah.
Just asking rather than
Yeah.
starting, the sooner we start it, the sooner.
Well, that's why I thought it had the most urgency, so I agree with that.
Yeah.
Let's go 6, 7 or 8. What's your numbers?
January,
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
3rd week.
3rd week or even 2nd, we're going to.
Sorry.
Around Australia Day.
My, I wasn't listening. Yeah, no,
Sorry, so it's member Tony Gulliver, members Gulliver, Mahoney and McKibben. Yes, I was thinking Tony. All right. So the mover and seconder are happy with that change to that first point. And Bethany, have you got that written down? Do you want to just throw that up on the screen?
Handwritten.
Notations, all right. So, so we've noted the others, and we've also the other 3 working groups that are set out, and we've noted that the general manager is to circulate some proposed dates for meetings online / in person.
I'll send an email to all members on the 6th of January, and if you can come back during that week, that'd be lovely.
All right. With those proposed changes, are we all in agreement? I put the motion in the 2 parts. All in favour? Carried unanimously. We go to item 7, the governance program. The recommendation is that council further considers the delegations to the chairperson. Can I have a mover?
Sorry, I'll second it, but I've got an amendment.
Well, you can't amend it if you, so.
Well, I won't second it, no, then I'll move.
So member Fry, you're proposing? Yeah. Do we have a seconder? Member Dorset, is it a wave or was that a?
No, just throwing something in.
Sorry.
It wasn't a seconder. Right. Do we have a seconder?
Yeah.
Yes, thanks, member Mahoney. Right. Member Fry?
No.
Member Mahoney?
No, Member
You're
Ring's
proposing an amendment?
Yeah, I'd just like to move to defer it to the next meeting, and then I'll put the words together. I sent both yourself and
Yeah.
Tim some examples from other councils, but I'd just like to bring it together. The reason I raised this at the last meeting, and councillor,
Are you sending to admin@CTWA or
I think I sent them to yours.
my GM? Okay.
I had several
I was
copies.
up to date with my email.
Look, I can check to make sure where they went.
Thank you.
Well,
There's several examples there. We had an example, an instance where the mayor signed off on $2 million expenditure around Christmas rather than call an extraordinary meeting. Like I've spoken to the government unit, you're right, there's no definitions or guidance around this section of the Act. That's what they're going to be looking at when they review it. But policy and delegation, two different things.
yes. So could I propose, just to propose the amendment so we can move this along, that the recommendation is that council considers delegation to chairperson. If the mover and the seconder are happy, you could suggest that member Ring is to provide some suggested wording for the next meeting.
Yeah, no, I'm happy with that. They're happy with that.
To limit the delegations where concern lies, or something similar.
Do you think the risk is lower with this type of council versus a general purpose council?
I think the risk is lower, but I still think it's something that should be reasonably documented. It's not a major. But I'm up to the other councils. If other councils don't agree, that's fine. I just think it's something that should be tidied up with every council.
As the chairman, I don't have a problem with proposed changes. I also think that in light of what's happened in New England, etc., we have to be seen as county councils to make sure that everything's pretty, well approved and people are kept in check.
Well, okay, so we're
I
just
say
voting,
whether that's me in play here or someone else, so I don't have a problem with what.
okay, so we'll just vote to defer it then?
Well, we can make to defer it, or we can put a positive obligation on member Ring to come up with some words for
No,
consideration on the next meeting.
Just put the obligation on me and I'll bring back the words at the next meeting.
But then we'll have to see it again and vote on it.
I'll send it out to everyone before the meeting, so everyone can have a look at it.
I mean, we can do a simple deferral, but at least if we do this, it puts the obligation on member Ring to circle it around. But I don't care, whichever way, it doesn't make the slightest difference. Do you want to defer it? If you want to defer it, then put up an amendment.
No, just, as you said, just the, put the obligation on me and I'll bring back the words for the next meeting. I'll make for sure before that meeting, it gets circulated to everyone, so everyone's got something.
Okay, so the recommendation is that I think the mover and the seconder, if they approve it,
Comment,
yes,
please. The option of just removing it from the delegation is available. You don't have to bring this delegation that's in the Act to the county council, is my understanding. So it could be as simple as removing it from the delegations, rather than going to some length to try and describe what it actually is trying to mean.
I'm looking at one page.
Yeah, okay.
I'm not looking at anything complicated.
I think it's not removal, it's actually confining.
It is confining, it's not removing, it's just putting,
It realises that there may be circumstances in which the chairman has to act, but there are certain parameters about him acting
Yeah.
in that, or person, sorry,
Yeah.
acting in that way, which I think is reasonable. And I
But
think
it's specific to policy, is that correct? That's what the delegation is.
well, the delegation can also go to expenditure, emergency expenditure. And that's where councils fall foul of it. I've looked at a number of councils where I haven't seen a council provided mayor with more than $500,000 delegated financial.
Yeah.
And that's only for emergencies, disasters, that sort
Yes,
of.
yeah, it must be reported.
It must be reported back. So that's really just defining that.
Yeah.
So that there can be no ambiguity moving forward.
so.
I just might make just a brief comment of support for that. Realising that the mayor or chairs need under emergency situations to have capacity to act quickly. I think my first procurement officer's famous quote that rings in my mind: "Bad planning doesn't constitute an emergency," and often you find that the reason things are getting pushed through for decisions between meetings is timelines are looming and all the predecessor tasks haven't been completed, and then it all comes to a crush point, and then the mayor or the chair is making those decisions and also potentially taking significant risks on themselves as an individual, particularly when we get high percentage expenditure of total budget. So even though we might be a small operating budget, there's still a risk. But we need to ensure that there are delegations to act in emergency settings, and so I'm supportive of Councillor Ringham.
So the recommendation at the moment will read that Council 1 further considers the delegation of the chairperson, semicolon 2, Member Ring comes back to the February 2025 meeting with the proposed wordings to amend the current delegations.
Yeah, put that.
Anthony, did you get that?
Yep.
You got that, thank you. So on the basis that the mover and seconder agree with that wording, I put the motion. All in favour? Thank you.
They're not brown, okay.
Sorry?
They're not brown. I got my ICAC hand today. Who knew ICAC did branded material?
Right.
You should use gloves when you use.
So finance 7.2.1 investment report November 2024. I don't believe there is an investment. There is an investment report missing. So if I could change the recommendation, is that council notes the report. Well, I suppose I can say it. Council notes the report, but notes that there is no investment report for November 2024.
My error.
No, that's fine. So the interesting thing here is I'd like the General Manager to provide us with updates. He has met with the Account Manager of Westpac to discuss current interest-bearing deposit arrangements. Thank you, General Manager. Oh, sorry, we need a mover, please. Member Fry, Member Ring, Member Fry, thank you. Anything to say?
No,
Just I'm asking the mover and the seconder. No?
No.
Okay, General Manager, please comment.
Just as I had a discussion with our account manager to see whether or not there were any recommendations from the bank that may assist us, and they have come to us with several suggestions about current arrangements, and I will follow up on those in February and have a report about you that make some changes in that. Doing a changeover of staffing is just reviewing our cash flow on a regular basis, having a look at the amount of money we're just carrying. So, lost opportunity for investment there. That needs to be improved. That's the reason for this consultation.
So moving forward with that area, are you going to have time to do that investment review and how much is in the working account, or will it be delegated to our admin officer, or how's it going to work?
We've had a look that we've got the right people with the right access to the right information, that decision can be made between myself and the office administration manager. Then I'll be reporting each of those changes directly to you, just to add that external. Now, these are movements of money into the investment account and as required out. We'll document that and report to you at the next meeting.
Thank you. All right.
Through the Chair, just a quick question, and I realise only a short time's passed between the local government conference and the adoption of the motion to seek a 25%. Is there any sort of understanding coming back through regional week committees on that?
Over 100 motions have passed at that local government conference, as you'd be aware.
Yeah.
So but we flagged this. Someone had raised a motion, and I put this in it as amendment. And it went through unanimously because I didn't even have to speak to it. I got up to speak, was told the amendment was accepted. So We've heard nothing back, no, but we are pushing a similar line with the Minister Moriarty every time we have the opportunity.
Okay.
And we also note, and you will recall from the previous meeting about the discussions with the Biosecurity Commissioner, we also emphasised the fact that we have, although she saw what we were doing and how we were doing our inspection regime, it was very favourable. She hadn't said anything else similar in New South Wales. We also pushed very hard that to continue with this and to keep it going and to be able to do the things we needed. You know, WAP funding was significantly, it was significantly underfunding our operations. We explained how much councils had to put in. We explained that the WAP funding hadn't gone up for the last 7 years. So we're pushing it as many angles as we can, remember.
All right. And I thank you for that. And clearly there is some very concrete evidence behind the decline in services with CBI static budget. So I think the argument can be well made, and I thank you for your work you've done on that today.
Thank you. And we'll continue to push it every opportunity we have, but whether, you know, but maybe the Biosecurity Commission, I'm hopeful, and the Natural Resources Commission, both there, of course, will give us, give the government, I suppose, some objective evidence to suggest it should occur if the Biosecurity Commissioner's report in particular comes out very favourably disposed to the activities we're performing. Thank you. 7.2, sorry, can I put the motion all in favour? Thank you. Passed unanimously. 7.2.2 internal audit charter.
I'd like to move that by deleting the first point. So there's only the second point.
Okay. So you've got the alternate motion that Councillor Ring, Member Ring is putting up, is that the alternate recommendation is that council delays the adoption of internal audit charter to enable the 3 local weed authorities, CTWA, Macquarie and Castlereagh, discuss a common approach to internal audit requirements. We have a second for that motion, that alternate motion. Member Fry, thank you. Discussion.
Just briefly, that there's economies of scale by working with other county councils. Go it alone, it's going to cost us an arm and a leg. Going in with others, we can get significant savings, I hope.
Member Fry?
Oh, yeah, it's just, well, we set to do that anyway, and it's just a procedural amendment, really, isn't it?
So I'll ask the general manager to make a comment, because I understand he has had some discussions, so if you could update us.
This has moved pretty rapidly. The 2 general managers, one from Upper Hunter and one from Castlereagh and Macquarie, they were very eager to team up. So the teaming up idea is now pretty much tied down. We did then find that local government procurement, LG procurement, has already established a panel of internal auditors through their process, and they are recommended to us. So we've drafted a request for proposal to those that are on that panel. Now, we don't normally have to do that. We could select from the panel and just use one of them as our common internal auditor. The reason for the proposal is that we're also asking that there's only one coordinator appointed. Each of the 3 councils doesn't have to have an internal audit coordinator, we have one. And also that we can share our reports, because we don't know as yet whether it would be best to have the same internal review on the same subject 3 times and then learn by sharing that experience, or whether it'd be better if the 3 of us have different reviews and share that. So the whole thing looks good. Our chair, I've informed her of what we're doing. She is comfortable with it, but we haven't as yet actually adopted our charter for internal audit, and that needs to run through, I suggest, February. So that looks like, I think, a good opportunity. Since those discussions, I've received my audit management letter came through yesterday, and what the audit office is suggesting to us is that the items raised in the management letter are very good to be included in your internal audit program. And that satisfies the external auditor as well if we do that. So I think we can move pretty quickly during February to get the program up and running, and we know that we're hopefully proposing to one of these internal audit companies that we're very small businesses, the number of transactions, the amount of money we're talking about, that we might be able to get even a discount from the rates that we've published for the generalist councils. Thank you very much. Mr.
Thank you.
Chair.
Any further discussion? If not, I'll put the motion. All in favour? Passed unanimously. Thank you. We go to item 8, roadside weed spraying program. 8.1, implementation of GIS universal flow meter. The recommendation is that council makes a report. Can I move it, please? Member Fry, seconder. Member Dorset, thank you. Member Fry. Member Dorset. Could I ask the General Manager or the Chief Weed Biosecurity to give us an update on this?
Yes, you can, and we have an update for you. I was just reading my report to see where I was actually up to, so I can update you from the
You said the aerial issue had been resolved.
Yeah,
I know you discussed it with Russell Firth, the Managing Director of Rapid Spread.
correct.
So I've had discussions with previously.
Yeah. So there's another one of the advertising or promotions of the product that we received was that we could establish it into our business using what they call projects. But when they said that to us, they said, we're still finalising development of that software. That was some months ago when we had that presentation to this council. The project's opportunity is not there in the system still.
Still not there.
Still not there. And we're still working on it, is what we're told. Now, this is a little bit troubling because it means that Chris can't put together each constituent council local government area, the roads in that, and another layer of the sectors in those as projects, and be able to easily access our data and report on it at that level. It's a fair amount of work for Chris and the actual contractor to do some additional work to capture that information for us. So that's quite disappointing. Now, we've shared this disappointment with the CEO of the business, and we're talking about lost time, and that I know when I reported to my council that they will be asking me about, well, did you seek recovery of those losses? And I have done that. So what he's done is told me that, you know, we want you on board. We're working hard on these things to get them right. And at the bottom of the letter, if you want to pull out, I'll recoup all costs. We've gone back this morning saying to them, thank you for that offer, it's generous. We need time to consider that, and we've moved that out into January.
So do they have a time frame for getting this project section of this thing up and running?
That's one of the decision points that we've gone back to them to ask. We need to know when this is going to be available to us.
Because they told us mid last year.
They demonstrated to us, and they're saying, as I recall, they're saying this is work underway at the moment when they demonstrated it to us.
They certainly said they'd have it up and running by the time we purchased it. I got the impression. Didn't they?
Andrew, I can't recall, and I won't. I think I'm getting the honest truth from them now, because they didn't realise how big this program was when they landed here. Even though they bought 20 odd units, they didn't understand the scale of the program, and they have a great advantage in getting it working, in using this program as the the first one.
The
to use.
template. Sorry, member Price.
Just remind me, does this come with, obviously the capital investment of the technology, but it comes with a licensing agreement
Licensing.
and an ongoing, perpetual, yeah.
He offered to refund that as well.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. I think we want it to work and have a relationship with the company. We're not going to return the capital investment in the tech because we want the tech for future development of the license. So is it a matter of going back and saying, well, we're not going to pay the license fee yet until you release the project base user interface that we bought it for?
I'd say we want the fee waived for 5 years if we're going to be a guinea pig.
Oh, yeah, okay, well, yeah, if they're developing a software
They're
around.
using us to develop the software, and they've used us as our example. and
If
they
they're
say-
prepared to give us back 25 grand, and maybe it is worth the question, just give us a couple of
Can I
years.
add another dimension to
No
this?
way.
A similar scale implementation is occurring with Cadia Mines at the moment.
Yeah,
Looking after their rural land. So Chris has been liaising with them. When we had them on site, they came over. But they found that our problems were mechanical type problems in design and build. The problems were different at AFL, which were user error.
But I assume that both Katie and us are having these issues with the project element of the software, because they'd be using
Yes.
that would be common between us and Katie.
That's a big thing that us and our partners over there, yes,
Using it differently.
they're using it differently, but they're trying to use it to the same scale that we're using it, and we're seeing common problems between both parties, and we're both, that project function, which is what they sold it to us as coming could do, if that was operationally functional, would make a huge, like,
Yes.
at the moment, yeah.
and we would have had that data for general managers and
Yes.
councils.
It pokes them up on a screen this morning.
Yeah.
We've got data,
Yeah.
but we're still not comfortable.
So Chris, do you definitively believe that these units are robust?
Somebody get
robust for our
an
use?
undertaking for this
Because
man.
having four units break when they arrive or whatever.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman, I'll ask that Chris doesn't have to answer that question.
No.
I have posed the question to Chris in a reasonable timeframe into consideration. We'll be making a decision early in January about how.
So we still do have, what the question then, I'll phrase it.
The offer
slightly
is
different.
open
No,
until then.
yes, I realise that. But do we still have concerns that these units may not be robust enough for our use?
Even if they do what we're asking.
Yes, in the project site. That the units themselves, because I know there was an issue with the aerials.
Well, I'm assuming they're under warranty.
Yes, but they may not be fit for use, fit for purpose. That means
They provide 5 years warranty on them, but they failed after 1 day.
1 day, so they may not be robust enough, is what I'm getting the feeling. that
Are they a retail grade? They're not constructed
They
commercial.
used a small company in the Hunter to develop.
We are, as I said, we're the guinea pigs, we're the first, between us and Katie. we're the
Okay,
first-
is there any other information like that might, because now I'm leaning on the, get the refund and look at another company.
No, because we think if we can get all of, but as I understand it, I believe if we can iron out the problems and the project comes, it'll give us significant
I
benefit.
prefer to hear from the CBO.
That's what he's told me, isn't that right?
And this is not an undertaking, just speak freely if you can.
We had communication issues in terms of the unit communicating to the satellites, right? So out of the 5 units we had in the field, to start with, 4 of them had issues, malfunction in terms of talking. We've had other issues with ones in terms of seals blowing, things like that. Which, yes, a lot of the time that was a matter of replacing an O-ring and regreasing and putting it back together, but that shouldn't be happening in the first week.
Design flaw, maybe.
Yeah, in terms of the hardware, the principle of the hardware is there, but we need to make sure that the hardware is recording accurately what the tank, so we know how much is in the tank. So we know what's going out in a day because they say they're putting out 5 tanks, that adds up to this amount. it's a matter of making sure that the flow meters are recording within a percentage margin, obviously, what the tank is saying they're recording. So we had issues between us and Cadia where there were discrepancies that were very large discrepancies between the two. So that.
And no tank leakages or anything, yeah.
No, so we need to,
That was to do with when you.
the calibration.
The calibration of the flow rates.
So we had. It's all done.
Yes.
So we had issues where we've known that say 800 litres went out, but the unit only recorded 400 litres or 500 litres have gone through it, and we're like, well, hang on, that's a huge difference. Down Cadia, they have similar things where they've known 3,000 litres of say gone out, and the units only recorded 1,000 further. So they were saying there was a calibration issue, and that's supposedly been pretty well rectified. But we're still trying to get into the data to see it properly, to cross-reference, to see if we're still having those issues.
If it has been fixed, right, so we're just in the middle of the process now.
It's too early to make a call.
Yeah.
Any change at all, today.
Which is why you've asked him for an extension of his generous offer.
Yes.
Yeah, so when have we asked?
But is February too late if it comes back to this council as a decision?
I'm not asking till March.
I said to him that we're closing, but there are some contractors that will still be working through this period, and Chris stays in contact with those over the next 2 weeks. We'll come back early January, and then I want to go back and just see where we are at that time. But I agree with you, we should be able to extend that offer out until March or something like that would be beneficial. He seems to think that he wants us more than we want him at the moment, so I think that's the relationship.
Yes, that's right.
So that was good discussion and might drive the direction of what Tim does, but it is under delegation and we're only noting the report, so.
Yes.
I'd like to note the report.
I think that's already been done.
We've already.
Any further discussion on this?
No, we haven't put the motion on.
No, we haven't.
No.
We haven't
Be
moved
for a
to
second.
second.
No, I'm just saying put it.
Yeah.
So, I asked that you keep us advised of that, of how we progress on that, even with a member's no doubt in January, to keep us abreast of what's happening there.
Will do.
Also, I take it that we've documented all the problems. They're documented down, and we've actually documented them on KUs to see where those are as well, so we, where we have common problems, we can note those.
Yes, we've got a good record, evidence about the problems that we've experienced, yes.
Right. My view is financially, we should be negotiating hardball on this, is that if, we're the guinea pig, we're proving this for them, and we're suffering as a result. But if it ultimately ends up all working, obviously it's great benefit to us. But yeah, we're being their proving ground, well, us and Katie. So they have to give us some leeway financially in that regard. Okay, I'll put the report all in favour. Thank you. Item 9 is the biosecurity compliance. The recommendation is council notes report. Mover, please. Member Fry, seconder, please. Member Ring, thank you. Member Fry. Nothing. Member Ring.
I just have a question for you to the staff, Chair. The inspections, how much time does it take to inspect a property? I mean, I really have no idea, so just a ballpark.
Just talk through what happens in an
Yeah,
inspection.
okay. Very dependent, obviously, location, size of property.
Yeah, no, I get that.
Yeah. So obviously, there's a new inspection versus a re-inspection. So then it depends on, obviously, where the property is located, time of travel there. But that said, what the guys try to do is if they've got a couple of inspections close by in the one area, obviously try and bump them off on the same day. Then it depends on what's at the property, both sides of the property, access to the property, what's on the property, and if the landowner's home, because then you get, it's for one of two things. If the landowner's there, usually the inspection takes longer by the time you talk to the landowner, but then you usually get a better inspection and a better outcome, because you get that ability to talk with the landowner. So I can't really give you an exact, like, how, like, sometimes you might get one inspection in a day, other times you might be able to get a couple of inspections in a day, but it just, there's so much variance in there, so.
I appreciate that.
And then obviously, a cleaner property is easy to report back on. If you've got a dirty property, then obviously all the background and paperwork that goes with it gets longer. So,
Thank you for that.
There's also a question, if I might, about, you know, having to do a thorough inspection if you only do a part of it. We've been hit with that on an issue, so we have to actually ensure that whatever the notice is over, we have inspected that whole part to which the notice relates, the whole property, right? That's become evident recently. And when we re-inspect the whole property, or that part to which the notice applies. Sorry?
I was just going to ask a quick question. Do we have a mapping system that we can spatially look at the locations of the inspections, or?
yeah,
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
And I think it's probably timely, General Manager, if at the next meeting, we bring that map forward for members to be able to see what has been inspected. Now, for privacy reasons, we do have maps that show what properties are being rated, but there is a generic map that shows you what properties in the area have been inspected in the last 5 years. Isn't it the GIS one? Is that the one?
we could do, we could do that in the
Next meeting, yeah.
yeah.
But we do have that because we've looked at it before.
Yeah.
What we're hoping
To
is
produce a map, or would you be comfortable that we display?
on the board, up there, I think.
What's
so.
easier for you, Chris?
Well, I can do it either, but if I do it on that, it saves us a lot of money printing, because those big maps cost a fortune.
Because it's the whole CWTA area.
It'd be good just to have a walk through our GIS system anyway, so you're aware of what the staff use.
Yeah.
On the roads, we're hoping, and I'll ask Chris, we're hoping we have a system where we can map what's done on the roads as well. Previously, we haven't had that facility, and I do remember, and I did mention to Tim some time ago, at one stage we had stabilo markings indicating which roads have been done in which years. But that's obviously labour intensive. Hopefully with this new technology, if they can get it up and running, we should be able to actually map that somehow.
Yeah, so
We're going to explain that.
yeah, so if we can get the
Functionality.
flow meters working properly, mapping properly,
Yep.
which we've got snippets of it, but it's just getting it to work to a level that we trust what's there, and we're happy with it, consistent. What it does is it shows the movements of the unit. Okay, now, part of the reason we also went with this unit is the fact that the unit is mounted to the end of the hose with the gun is. So it's recording where you physically sprayed. One of the other ones is mounted to the vehicle, which can be 200 metres away from where you're spraying. So it says where the truck was, not what was done. In that, it records a number of things. So it's recording basically every 3 seconds. So as the boys are moving along, it's constantly, you can look at it on the map, you can watch them zig-zag and walk on the other side of the road. It then records the volume that went through that individual handgun in terms of literage out of the tank. It then also records what's called the recipe, which we build into the back of the program, and you do different recipes. So we can say in this mix, you've got so much grazon, so much manso, so much green agent, so much dye. It then calculates out that on that road or that section, you used 600 litres, which was made up of so much of this mix. It'll then plot a heat map every time they squeeze the trigger, and the more they put in that area, the bigger or more intense that heat map gets. It'll will then
Sounds
also,
interesting.
you can
I'll look
click on that individual dot on the heat map, and it will say you put out 1.2 litres, you put out 6 litres, you put out whatever. And then it's got the function in the remote, you can select, so in the background, we've built weeds into the system. So we picked our usual one, but we can add more to it. And then while they're going along, there's a number of buttons. So they could select that button 1 is going to be blackberry, button 2 is going to be ward, button 3 is going to be broom. As they spray, they tell which plant they're spraying, and then it maps those different varieties of plant on the map. So looking at the data, I can see like yellow dots blackberry, and then I can see a patch stop, and then there's blue dots where they're sprayed ward, and then more yellow dots where they're brown.
But you're gonna have, in most of our roads, you have St John's Wort and Blackberry all intermingled everywhere.
Yeah, I know.
They'd be spending half the time pushing the button.
No, you can run multiple buttons at once
Right,
as well, but if we can get all that working, it's really good data, and it gives you a visual map of the whole area, and then you can also see the sections where there wasn't much, and then where it started off again, which will then let us, in years to come, compare the same road again and see, okay, is it better or worse? Are the weeds in the same spot or a different spot? Is there the same weeds or different weeds? Like, we can start to build that.
And also the layer the costing is better, because you will know that if you're doing the Midwest Highway and it's got large curtilages, you're doing, 1 hour's taking you, let's say, worst say 1 kilometre, half a kilometre to do.
Yeah.
Whereas on smaller roads, you're doing, 2 kilometres and things. So you'll get an idea, so that for your costings in future, so that's a highway, so this is going to be the rate, whereas a smaller road, this is more likely to be rate.
Yeah, look, I think this is some very interesting,
Yeah.
high value operational data.
If we can get it operating.
Yeah,
correctly.
no, exactly. Yeah, but what you're trying to achieve out of it, I'd love to have that precise level of data in my own operations.
And it also makes us be able to go to our respective constituent councils and give them a really good insight as to what we're doing.
Yeah.
And also when you get down to what it's costing a kilometre, to say, well, we did blaming this year and we had to do the Midwestern Highway. So when your rate was $200 and something, it's gone up. But principally that's because this highway has cost us X amount of kilometres, not the $200 a kilometre.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, could we bring a presentation, make it available to you prior to your February meeting? It'll only be 15 minutes. Get them online. They can give you the sales gimmick and have a look at what they think it can do. And
Well, they may be a bit reluctant if they haven't got all the work.
no, I think we got their full attention because they just know how large this program is, and they're very much wanting it to work.
Well, I would think instead of an email, Mr. Perth, and saying, yes, Chairman, I am watching this.
Communicating.
No, I'm just going to tell him, I'm watching this.
Could we do it the opposite way around? Could we have our map up first and everything and glean that information so we can see, and then make the comparison afterwards of what they tell us? Like have them as
Yeah.
secondary. I'd like to make the comparison of if they're spinning us a yarn or if we're.
We'll see if we can get them on board, and we'll aim for half an hour before your next meeting in February.
We've got a workshop in April, haven't we? But that's probably too late.
I think these decisions we are taking about this technology, having you aware of what they're offering and where we're up to with it, I think is important.
Well, it's also to be able to inform our constituent councils what the capability is too.
Absolutely, because I sold it to them.
3.
Yeah, 3.
The more information we have, better going forward, obviously, for it to help us see.
Yeah, and we're just trying to, like the other things it's supposed to do is for it becomes your spray records.
Yeah, that's
So you don't have to do our manual records. It becomes your weather data and all that. So the process is supposed to, in theory, speed everything up. We've just got a few ducks in there.
all right. So, I put the motion, all in favour? Thank you. We go to 9.1, Oh, no, we've done inspections, haven't we?
Yes, we have 9.1.
We've done 9.2 is now 9.2 penalty infringement notices. The recommendation of council most report. Can member please? Member Fry, member Dawson, thank you. Member Fry, member Dawson. Any further discussion on this matter? Are we noting that as we're in private inspection season that the number of penalty notices is likely to increase?
Potentially, but we've got to read, like, see the procedures.
That's right. So we'll discuss that when we get to inspections, but how are the inspections tracking against the generics?
Yeah, so inspections are looking good, when we get to 90. Oh, we've got 90 days, our 90-day is coming down,
Right.
which is good, and since the report was done, the 90-day list is now about half of what it was. That was good. The favourable thing at the moment is most of what the guys are seeing when they're re-inspecting is that there's going to be a paper and a bit of almost starting to sort of clean up and come out, which is nice to see.
So I know at one stage where we had, where a property say had dropped from a 3 or 4 to a 2, but we had some questions of whether the landholder would continue to be as vigilant as they were. We had was it a 2R or something?
Yeah, so basically they would come at 2, but the guys are still keeping an eye on them.
That's right.
Check they don't
Revert.
step back the other
Yeah.
way. Yeah.
So that's still being kept in
So
place.
they're keeping note of those properties, and then when they're doing other ones on the area, just keeping an eye on them, check they're not.
So we have keeping a record that they are going and checking those R's.
So they come back in
Okay.
the system again.
Right. Okay. Any further discussion? If not, I put the recommendation, the motion, all in favour? Passed unanimously. Item 10, other matters. Council meeting dates. The recommendation is that council amend the council meeting schedule, moving the April workshop to Friday, the 11th of April, 2025. Do we need to say that council notes the council meeting schedule with the only amendment to be that the April workshop has been moved to Friday, April the 25th, because we do have to note the schedule, don't we? So if we could reword that way, please, Bethany. Can I have a mover, please? Member Dorset, Member Fry, thank you. Any further discussion?
Mr. Chairman, we might just pop in there before the February meeting, that half hour, it's called a presentation.
So 1:30 is half an hour up, 1:30 PM presentation.
That'll do us, it'll be of our GIS system and possibly the flow meetings.
And we'll receive updates for our outlook calendar.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, we will update your calendars.
All right, so we've, so the council notes the council meetings schedule, moving the April workshop to 11th April 2025, and noting that there would be a presentation at 1:30 PM on Friday the 21st of February 2025, preceding the meeting on the GIS system and the rapid flow meters. Is that what you want to say? Right, thank you. Are you happy with those amendments, the
Yes.
proposer and seconder?
Did we get a proposal seconder?
Thank you.
Ben, yes. Dorset and Fry. Dorset proposed. All right, any further discussion? I put that recommendation as I just read it. All in favour? Thank you.
I dealt with that matter.
10.2 really has been dealt with previously, so
Yeah, I'll make the record.
note the record for that. We go to 11, there are no notices of motion or rescission motions. The following matters are considered, with confidential matter, the following matters are considered in accordance in a 10A22 of the Act to be confidential as determined by the General Manager and should be in a part of the meeting close to the media and the public. The matters are, as listed, 13.1 procurement policy compliance, 14.11 organisational structure, and 15 property inspection November 2024. Could I have a councillor to move that we move into closed committee of the whole to review those items? Thank you, Member Price Jones. Seconder, please. Member Marty. All in favour? Oh, thank you. Carried unanimously. Could you stop the recording, please, removing as we're in confidence? Okay, back in open council, 13, the following matters were considered during while council was in confidential. Item 13.1, procurement policy compliance. The motion passed, which was moved by Member McKibben and seconded by Member Fry, was the following. Council 1 notes the report. 2 approves the expenditure detailed in the report and the source of those funds. Semicolon. And 3 delegate to the chairman to progress the matter. Item 14.1.1 organisational structure. This was moved by Member Fry and seconded by Member Green. The motion in 3 parts will follow as follows. That 1, the core business of CTWA is clearly identified in the organisational structure. Stop. The core business of CTWA is a local control authority that does not own or lease rural land. Stop. CTWA does not carry a general biosecurity duty under the New South Wales Biosecurity Act. And 2, the non-core business components of the organisation structure, including roadside weeds treatment program, the aerial spraying program, and other private works, will be investigated by the organisational structure working party to ascertain what is feasible and legal to deliver as a separate department within the organisational structure. Semicolon. And 3, CTWA will consult with the 4 constituent councils seeking their support to CTWA to adopt any change structure as determined in 2 above to the organisational structure and its implementation. Property inspections, November 2024. The motion was moved by Member Fry, seconded by Member Price Jones. The motion was that council notes the report. I note that this meeting is closing at 1:56 p.m. and that the next meeting of the County Council is on the 21st of February 2025 at 2 p.m. with a presentation at 1:30 p.m. to precede that meeting. And that will be in these premises. Thank you, members, for your attendance. I wish everyone a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year and a good break till we get back to work. Well, we will be working through January anyway, but until the next meeting in February. Thank you for your support, thank you for attendance, and thank you, members of the public online.
Thank you, Mr.
And
Chair.
also thank you very much to members of staff which have supported this organisation throughout the year. Thank you to Tim and to Chris, Anthony, and to all the inspectors. Thank you.